breathe in, the grass comes with me, and I breathe out. Faces forming, and the tallest branches wave to me and say hello. No, I cannot see what's real. Oh, it's enough to only feel. Hands against my back, back to the ground. Focused, it seems far off. I want to embrace your love. Oh, oh.
Through our conversations, we decided we wanted to start growing food hydroponically. We found that to be a solution for a very expensive food production system in America, and so we wanted to reduce our footprint when it comes to food production. We stumbled in on this school, the Gazzavini Learning Center.
There was an excellent horticulture teacher who's teaching very small classes outside of the greenhouse. She had us come in, she allowed us like a little bit of space to do a little hydroponics, and we were working with the kids a little bit. She would let us come in and teach a couple classes here and there. Tallahassee Sustainability Group kind of came out of that.
From that start, from that first hydroponic system, we've been able to sort of build momentum in the community, growing food in new places around town, meeting new people, starting new projects.
When I came down to Tallahassee to see if I wanted to move down here, visited New Leaf grocery store, and there was a flyer up on the bulletin board that said, let's have a meeting about urban agriculture. And that was definitely something I was interested in.
Eventually we had found a little piece of land by Salvation Army.
They passed it on to Wes and I and others in TSG who were looking for a gardening opportunity to grow some food.
The Salvation Army for more than a century, we have been fighting hunger all over the world. So when we met the Tallahassee Sustainability Group, we had that common vision and joined forces to fight poverty and hunger. So the Salvation Army had a little corner on the side of the thrift store, and that's where everything started.
Quickly had an abundance of food, and all the while we're looking at the larger space out in the middle and thought we could expand the project. And so Captain Julio allowed us to expand. That was the beginning of the story, maybe.
So as it stands, the Tallahassee Sustainability Group has been working on two main projects, one being the agronauts training program addressing challenges in our education system through food and the environment. So we'll usually start off with a presentation about nutrition, about food production, and from that we'll take them outside to the greenhouse. If they're planting, they'll come in here. If they're tending to their garden, let's say weeding or mulching, they'll go straight to the garden and work with that. We also have a number of other projects going on, including an edible landscape.
In the edible landscape, we can incorporate large food production plants like trees, perennials. We got some asparagus, some blueberries. What if we could turn that into, a food everywhere concept where the food that is grown here can supply the school's cafeteria with their own fresh, organic, healthy produce. You go into the cafeteria and you get tater tots, you get cheeseburgers. We need to alter that course, and I think that this program is critical. It should be in every school. It can be in every school, and hands-on learning is the best form of learning.
Our second project has been urban agriculture at the Salvation Army.
A lot of college students, myself included, don't have a lot of experience with gardening. So hearing that there is a student organization that is very central to our campus location that offers educational opportunities for anyone off the street, no matter what their experience level is, I think that definitely has a huge appeal.
Brianna, do you know how to use the stirrup hoe?
No.
Okay, learn the stirrup hoe.
We're here every Wednesday and every Saturday, so we have afternoon and morning. And just by coming to the garden with zero experience whatsoever, you can be involved in planting something.
I think everyone should know the basics of gardening, for sure. I was shocked, when I first started coming out here, and that wasn't really that long ago. I could not identify vegetables at all. Here, just coming out on a volunteer work day, you're gonna learn something about raising vegetables, about harmony with nature. Maybe that involves something stinky. Maybe you gotta flip some compost, but I'm sure someone will try and answer as many questions as you have about why that's important.
What we have is a lot of vegetative waste put them in there, and then we get the microbes to break that stuff down. And that'll break down to some beautiful black soil.
We are the most effective organization at getting college members, people from FSU, FAMU, TCC, out into the community. You find meaning in these projects, and being a grassroots effort, it's just an amazing thing to watch it grow.
What has started off as a project to address food has quickly turned into a project to address our education system.
Gardening needs to be a big part of education because we have been very disconnected from the food that we eat. When you're gardening, you see that tomato growing. You understand that it takes effort and it takes time to grow things.
With the industrialization of agriculture came the consolidation of agriculture. It became not an activity or a practice that the everyday citizen engaged in. It was somewhere far away. People being so detached from their food system does have negative repercussions.
Understanding where the food comes from has had the largest impact on our students. It doesn't come from a package, doesn't come from a can or a box. It comes from the earth.
If we can try to instill lifelong healthy habits, such as eating healthy, being able to prepare fresh meals, those will be lifelong habits and skills and maybe passions for what we feel like is very critical, to be connected with nature. I know we've got students that are so invested in their food. This one kid, James, wants to grow every type of pepper. We can't even give him enough peppers. When you see a student that's that invested in their food, that's that invested in growing something, I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's incredible. You know, you just are watching, you're watching this brilliant mind focus on something very profound, so.
I realize now how important it is to communicate my experiences to the people around me, because that's culture passing down, and it's a thread of understanding that in America has gotten lost as we've had fewer farms, fewer farmers. The farmers are less personal, have less character, they're further away.
People really are agriculturally illiterate. They are unaware of where their food comes from because of the veil that industrial agriculture has put between the consumer and production. And that all needs to change.
Well, a food desert is a location where the citizens that occupy that area do not have access to healthy, fresh, affordable, and culturally appropriate foods. We're located in a food desert right now, but a lot of people don't necessarily recognize that. They don't necessarily recognize their own capacities to grow their own food and create a food oasis in a food desert.
You know, if you can grow your own food, you're totally secure. So in terms of instilling those qualities to students, where they can bring that out to their families, they can bring that out to their neighborhoods, the possibilities are exponential.
By having food gardens, it's demonstrative. It shows that you can grow food, and it helps educate people on why they should eat that healthy food. So urban farming empowers people to seek nutrition that is good for them.
I was learning about farming. I was preparing to start my farm on my parents' land. So driving around Birmingham, I was just looking at all the empty lots, and some friends of mine had started an urban farm in an empty house lot. And I just started to think about the demand for food and questioning why available sunny land wasn't growing food everywhere.
This land out here was a liability for the Salvation Army because big plot of land catching a lot of sunlight, and all they're doing with it is spending money every month to mow it down. So going in and saying, look, you can stop spending money. We'll not only take care of this land, we're gonna grow a lot of food on it and bring people together.
More people need to be involved in the food system if we're gonna be more resilient. So cities is where there's more people. And in America, our cities tend to be more spread out than other places in the world. So there's lots of land and open lots. And
people don't typically look at urban areas and think, oh, that could be farmed on. A lot of the vacant lots in cities, a lot of the unused land can be transcended into community gardens, urban agriculture, where you can grow good food that ultimately leads to a healthier community and a healthier urban ecosystem.
We plant seeds in flats here at the farm, and then we put those flats in the greenhouse, and the seeds germinate, and then they grow into little transplants. And then we plant them out in the garden, and they grow into a crop, hopefully. We get to pick that crop and take that to market. We can do it fresh, and we can do it organically, and we can do it in an educational, fun way. People appreciate those experiences.
So Bread and Roses is a food cooperative, and we're a community grocery store. We're run 100% on volunteer hours, so there's no paid employees or owners. It's all member-owned and worked. The driving force behind our co-op is mutual aid, so it's the thought that we're all kind of coming together to help each other be able to, buy food that's ethically sourced and healthy at lower costs. I'm the volunteer produce coordinator. So part of what I've been working on with a few other folks is getting more produce in this store. We're getting a lot of produce from the Salvation Army Garden, which is a TSG project, and Simon Beavis brings in produce to us once a week. So we get a lot of produce from them. Right now it's a lot of greens, turnips, carrots, fennel, kohlrabi. It's just really wonderful to know where it comes from. A lot of people that are members here also volunteer on the farm.
So Simon hired me on after I met him at Bread and Roses because I joined the co-op about a year ago as well. We come out on Tuesday at about 9 o'clock in the morning and we kind of assess what we have and where it could go, and we distribute it either to Bread and Roses Food Co-op or Wild Greens Cafe.
Being a community cafe, that means that we source probably 60 to 70% of our vegetables from local farms. And we are geared towards providing really good, really healthy food at an affordable price.
The experience here and the experience at Wild Greens, it's just all around positive. We want you to have good food. We want you to know where it came from. It's just positive. So.
A lot of people come in not realizing that a lot of the food is sourced from local farms and are surprised and really happy to hear it. And it's really good to be representative that it is possible and it can be done.
Being able to eat something that I've grown is good for my emotional well-being. So when I get the chance to harvest food from here and take it to the restaurant, and then I actually have an opportunity to talk to the people that I'm serving about where their food came from, and I think it's good for their emotional well-being as well.
Food has so much to do with how people live and how healthy they are and how socially cohesive and healthy neighborhoods and cities are.
So one of our objectives here at Salvation Army Garden is to get the community engaged in growing food. But not everyone has yards or the capacity or necessarily the motivation to grow food at their own location. So what we have provided are raised garden beds located at the front of our facility, and we've given those away to local community members and have filled it with good healthy soil. We've provided seeds, water, compost. Anyone who's adopted a box can come whenever they choose and tend to their garden.
So we want to build a community here that involves all of the gardeners. We have so many different age groups, and these people might not be interacting normally because they have different socioeconomic backgrounds, different jobs, different ages, but they are here together gardening.
It has become a place of gathering. When we go there, we are not thinking about us, we're thinking about others. And that is the key word for that community garden, is others.
You're interacting with your community, engaging with the people around you and the earth. And it's calming, it's meditative, and it's sustainable for your own health.
What it really means for a community that participates in growing its own food and talking to each other about food and helping each other out, I guess it's just going to mean a much more healthy community.
There's demand from the people for a more sustainable food system, and we can think of no better way to help bring about that change than by growing food where people already live, which is in cities. our garden project, Salgar and Agronauts, and the other things we're working on are centered around food, and because everyone has to eat, it brings people together for a common purpose, and we learn together, we develop friendships, and that's community.
Unfortunately, the Salvation Army sold their property to a private developer, making our future uncertain, to say the very least.
During the time that we were starting the garden, that building had to be sold because, as you can see, it's not a safe building. We renew our lease where we are going to stay there until December. So we don't want that to stop because the possibility of we are not being there next year.
It was sold to a private developer. We'd like to keep the project going there, but really we'd like a feature destination that the city claims as its own, that it's for kids and it's for food literacy, alleviating food insecurity.
We want our projects to be sustainable, and if we're growing things on a property that can be potentially bought and developed, that is a problem. We should be pursuing, other land.
Well, the fact that we don't have any money to purchase land is a factor, but that doesn't mean we can't ask for the opportunity to grow food various places, and so that's what we're doing.
There are a lot of factors that go in with finding a piece of land. Obviously, you can't just start growing food anywhere.
We're looking into the community garden grant through the city and the county. They have a grant where if they have property that's city or county owned and you get 12 signatures, you can have a community garden on that land.
If you want the project to be successful in reaching the community that lot is in, then the community needs to be invested in the project from the start.
Where you grow it starts with who you're growing with, and you're growing with your community at all times.
Well, this site, the Mill Street site, is really unique because it's not just like a few empty house lots in a poor neighborhood. It's like a beautiful piece of land available in the middle of the entire city.
Right.
There's a good-sized neighborhood close by. So that's where we're going to start, but I want to expand the conversation to the whole city because it has a potential, way more potential than just a community garden. And with a piece of property this size, 4 acres, and a lot of wild foods here already, we believe we can really impact the local food system with quantity. The work we've been doing is headed in a direction where people will be more connected to where their food comes from.
We'd like to start growing food on Mill Street, but even if that doesn't happen, that's okay. Just growing food on available land, unoccupied land, is taking a step towards improving our food system, and that's ultimately our objective.
It's one thing to recognize a problem, and it's another to try and solve it. And there are some great people coming together and working towards a healthy, sustainable food system.
You can feel that with your community, you can work towards a better culture, a better society, a better economy.
We're working on a national level with other people. Even though we don't know who they are, can't see them, they're out there and they're trying to do the same thing as us. It's important to kind of be reaffirmed in the fact that we're all working towards the same goal.
This is how you can do it. You can come out, you can get involved, and it's a snowball. Once people come out, more and more people just start to love it.
Constantly be in pursuit of growth, constantly be getting more people involved, because the more people that are involved, the more that we can grow.
To be a good farmer, you need to be proficient in observing what's going on and constantly uploading your information from your senses. You need to understand the way different systems work and how long it can take for things to grow, and while still having faith that things are growing.
how did you learn to row? Time well spent learning to see your own. How that dew rings its head, I lay you to bed. How it walks in the air, now it tells me instead. Oh. How did you learn to row home? All time